However, a family of 6 from Gaza have applied to live in Britain using this scheme, and a judge has now ruled in their favour. This is not what the scheme was designed to do.
She asked me if we're going to change the law and close the loophole in question 1. I said yes.
This decision is completely wrong. It cannot be allowed to stand. Is the government planning to appeal on any points of law? And if so, which ones?
The complete erosion of public trust is Starmer's greatest failure. These aren't my words. They're the sentiments echoing through Westminster corridors after the Chief Justice's devastating verdict that has left Labour scrambling for answers. With taxes rising, inflation climbing, and £22 billion of public money unaccounted for, Starmer promised things would be different under Labour. But 6 months in, the Chief Justice has exposed what many suspected. The Emperor has no clothes. And now, even King Charles is reportedly watching in disbelief as Britain's institutions crumble under the weight of incompetence. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. A pall of uncertainty continues to loom over Starmer's government as a result of the Chief Justice's ruling, which has shaken Westminster to its core. This is more than just a judicial decision. It's the collapse of a justice system that Starmer helped create and which is now shown to be deeply unfair.
It's a constitutional mistake. I'd like to thank Tom for his passionate defense of our constitution. It's quite important that people know how it is, how it's different from other constitutions, and how it works. Parliament is supreme. It's really quite a mistake for the Lady Chief Justice to have done this. I call this Versailles thinking. There seems to be an air of going around that certain elite people are above or beyond criticism, can do all sorts of extraordinary things. It could pass an act specifically overturning this case if it wanted to. It can pass an act sacking judges if it wants to.
The pre-sentencing report system, which Starmer has tirelessly advocated for, is at the heart of this debate. When judges decide on punishments, these apparently neutral evaluations automatically take into account factors including gender, color, and other personal situations. This strategy seemed reasonable and forward-thinking on paper. A more disturbing result has emerged from its implementation, a two-tiered justice system in which one's identification determines the severity of punishment. This system's mechanics are especially sneaky. These reports consistently use different criteria depending on demographics when sentencing defendants. The repercussions are now indisputable. White British men continually face harsher punishments than other groups for the same crime. What has emerged from the shadows of the Chief Justice's decision is not political rhetoric or conjecture, but rather the unpleasant truth. The fact that this strategy runs counter to the bedrock of every functional democracy, the idea of equality under the law, is especially striking. Justice should be impartial. Your history should not dictate your punishment. This is a long-standing principle in British law. The polar opposite principle has been institutionalized under Starmer's tenure.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative government established the Ukraine Family Scheme, and in total, over 200,000 Ukrainians, mostly women, children, and the elderly, have found sanctuary in the UK from Putin's war.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. I do not agree with the decision. She's right. It's the wrong decision.
Given this crazy decision,
She complains about scripted answers and questions. Her script doesn't allow her to listen to the answer.
A troubling picture emerges from the court records. The pre-sentencing procedure produces drastically diverse results for comparable offenses, as demonstrated in case after case. There is a clear pattern. White British individuals receive disproportionately punitive punishments, whereas certain populations continually receive lesser terms. The fact that British people are sometimes punished harsher than migrants for the same crimes is much more disturbing. More and more people are becoming aware of these inequalities, and both professionals in the legal field and regular individuals are beginning to doubt the justice of a system that appears biased. Politicians put themselves in danger when they disregarded the growing tide of dissatisfaction caused by community forums and public discussions that featured stories from families impacted by these sentencing inequalities.
Mr. Speaker, the Chancellor claimed that her budget was a once-in-a-Parliament reset. So why are we having an emergency budget next week? Speaker, he knows why we're having an emergency budget, because since the last one, Since the Chancellor delivered her budget in October, growth is down, borrowing is up, and she has destroyed business confidence.
Mr. Speaker, we have delivered record investment into this country, had 3 interest rates cut in a row, and wages are going up faster than prices, which is a massive cost of living boost. Massive 22 million black hole in the economy. They crashed the economy. We're rebuilding Britain.
The decision of the Chief Justice gets to the crux of the matter. The decision questions the validity of this justice system in a devastatingly well-reasoned analysis. The ruling draws on equality principles from the British Constitution to show how the existing system is unfair and violates the right to equal treatment of all citizens. This decision runs counter to Starmer's public image, which is maybe the most hurtful aspect for him. This is a man whose credibility rests on his unwavering commitment to justice for all, and whose honesty and fairness have brought him great honor. However, under his watch, some groups have been consistently enriched while others have been systematically disadvantaged. Starmer has publicly pledged to promote equality, but this strategy has led to a scenario in which white men will be treated more harshly, as stated in the ruling.
Does the Prime Minister now regret raising taxes on business?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the OBR will present their numbers. There'll be a spring statement next week.
Speaker, the only black hole is the one that he is digging. He's shown absolutely no regret, but everybody knows the Chancellor has made a mistake. That is why they're having an emergency budget.
She still hasn't. We've got record investment into this country. Interest rates have been cut, and she talks about national insurance. We had to fill the 22 billion black hole that they left.
There are significant political ramifications. Some voters now have hard proof that they are the targets of systemic discrimination in the justice system. In addition to the obvious legal consequences, this is a terrible betrayal of public faith in the government. Preside over a system that uses demographics rather than actions to determine a person's validity. How can a leader do this? The plain conclusion of the Chief Justice's ruling is what makes it so devastating. The existing sentence rules breach equality safeguards established in British law. This is a serious accusation of a system that has abandoned its essential value, not a small technical infringement or administrative error. Starmer, a former prosecutor who is now in the spotlight for supervising this system, has suffered irreparable political and personal harm. Accountability has been a rallying cry for Britons across all political lines. The verdict has put Starmer's shortcomings in sharp relief, causing his leadership to dangle precariously. Reportedly, even King Charles was taken aback when informed about the ruling's specifics. He grasped the constitutional gravity of a legal system that discriminates against individuals because of their history. Given how shaky Starmer's leadership is looking, the terrible ruling couldn't have arrived at a worse time. His popularity has plummeted, and even his most ardent Labour allies are publicly betraying him. As a former director of public prosecutions, he now presides over a system that contradicts the ideals he professed to promote, and this judicial crisis exposes the underlying contradiction in his governance. Along with increasing economic pressures, the British public is intently observing the unfolding of this judicial scandal. It is still unclear if Starmer will be able to survive this storm. Having his political identity utterly shattered may make survival next to impossible for a man whose foundation was justice and fairness.